I'm here tonight to say you don't. And I would like to see a lot of, thank God, because having to be a hotshot salesperson puts the pressure on you. And most sales training is trying to get you to be a better seller.
This is the Business Owners Smashing It Online podcast for entrepreneurs and business owners looking for cool online tools, apps and strategies to make business easy online. My name is Nick Cree and I'm your host. Each episode features a guest expert demystifying the online universe, sharing inspirational ideas and providing tested real-world strategies to help you get the most of what's available online to grow your business today. Don't be a slave to your business, get your business working for you. Subscribe now and get some great content and ideas for you and your business today. All right, well, on to my favorite part of the evening, which is where I get to introduce our guest speaker tonight. So our guest tonight is Steve Brossman. Some of you may have seen him before, but he's been on the show a couple of times before as well too. And I've been through some of Steve's programs, and I'd have to say highly recommend them as well, which is why I've asked him to come back onto the show as well too, because he's got a really good perspective. If you don't know who Steve is, well, I'm going to tell you a bit of stuff about Steve. Hopefully it's true, but Steve has been a former national professional track champion for Australia. So he has represented Australia. He is a 9 times #1 Amazon bestseller. So he hasn't written one book, he's written 9. Well, he's probably written more than that, but 9 of them got to that #1 spot. So if you want to check him out, go to Amazon. I was going to say Google his name. You can't Google his name in Amazon. So go on Amazon his name, and you'll see all of the books that he's published there. He really is an industry powerhouse with over 20 years of TV and video experience. So those of you that are old enough may have been entertained by Steve on children's TV. So he was one of the entertainers back in the early days as well too. And those of you that are a bit older, maybe your kids were there sort of sitting in front of Steve, and that's why they picked up those habits that they've got today. Here's the man that's responsible for all of that. So he's also gone on from there to be an executive producer for Warner Brothers. Those that don't know Warner Brothers, they produce all sorts of good movies, and they also have Movie World here on the Gold Coast as well too. So they're a big production house for entertainment. So he's created multiple 6- and 7-figure businesses. And one of his products, get this, one of his products has sold 4 million units. So he sold 4 million pieces of them in 26 countries. So he really knows what he's doing. And that's part of the experience he brings in terms of talking to us about his sales process tonight. So he shared his expertise in 15 countries. He's trained over 65,000 entrepreneurs. So those of us sort of struggling to get to reach sort of a couple of hundred people, Steve has reached 65,000 entrepreneurs across the globe, and he's really helped them to stand out in their markets, and he's a real master at that as well too. His latest back pocket guide is called Self-Selling Secrets, and it's really about transforming businesses and professionals, attracting high quality clients, and closing multi-million-dollar deals as well. So tonight, Steve is here to talk to us about flow selling. That's the art and science of how to get people in a hurry to come and buy from you. So let's give a big virtual round of applause and welcome Steve Brossman to the stage.
Sometimes when you're doing an introduction, Nick, I would love to cut you off halfway through.
I've done everything now. You can't do anything more, right? That's it.
You can't undo some of those images there. Yeah, look, things change, and they change pretty quickly in my world. Don't go to Amazon just yet. There's a brand new book coming out, which is all about flow selling. It's going to be the culmination of everything and multi-steps beyond, which is what I'm excited to be sharing with you tonight. Some of the new work that is just about to come out. And the interesting thing is I forget who it was that came on. They said, I'm always willing to learn. And the reason that I guess Nick does come back and get me to come back is every time I come back, there's something new, and there's something new because I'm always learning. I've been in business for umpteen years, but I'm always studying and learning, and really been geeking out over the last 5 years, not so much how to sell better, but how to understand how people buy so you can get them more easily and more excitedly to buy from you. And just to kick things off, because this ideally will be interactive, rate yourself, or just put a number between 1 and 5, how much you absolutely have fallen in love with selling yourself. Now, 1 is, yep, I get it, I do it, I know I've got to do it. Or I can't wait to get up. That's the first thing I think about every morning. And that's a number 5. Just somewhere between 1 and 5. And while you're doing that, I'm just going to organize the share screen, make sure we've got all that going on. And we've got some numbers coming through there. I'll keep an eye on the chat as it goes. Okay, cool. Now, I'm not going to be watching the chat from here on through, Nick, but if there's some good questions that come through, I'm not adverse to answering them on the run.
I'll keep an eye on it, and I'll stop you if I see something that might just fit in at the time.
So what I've got here, and most people will think that they have to be a hotshot salesperson to sell. I'm here tonight to say you don't. And I would like to see a lot of, thank God, because having to be a hotshot salesperson puts the pressure on you. And most sales training is trying to get you to be a better seller. Now, type in S if you want to be a better seller, or type in a big capital B if you would like more people to come and buy from you. Because the reason I've created most of this is I actually don't particularly like being that salesperson. For 8 years, I was teaching authority marketing. And for 7 of those years, all of my people would say, Steve, this is the best sales training ever. And for 6 3/4 of those years, I would say, don't you dare call me a sales trainer. Because I didn't want to be one of those sales trainers, because I didn't like the way they were being taught. But what I realized is what I was doing was very effective at helping people get people to buy from them. So what we're talking about tonight is the art and the science. Now, the art, we're going to be looking at around about 20% of it, and 80% is the science of having people coming to buy from you. And over the last several months, I've been working on what is called flow selling. And I've just got to zoom out of the road so I can see my buttons, and we're off into flow here. Now, flow selling is frequently leveraged outcome wins. However, we start at the bottom, and a win. Have you ever seen an athlete, of a sports person of any description? They're often coming the seconds and the thirds and the seconds and the thirds, and they're almost winning. Yet when they have that one win, they just can't stop winning. Have you ever seen people like that? And as a professional athlete, it's when you have that one win that you just keep going. Now, there's a real science behind that. As animals going through evolution, animals, fish, humans, when we have a win, we have a surge of quite a number of hormones, but the main two is dopamine and testosterone, psychologically and scientifically proven that we have a surge of dopamine, testosterone. Dopamine is the achievement, the motivation, the focus hormone, and testosterone gives you a surge of confidence. Basically, what that was doing was, hey, I really enjoyed this. Now I've got the strength and the confidence to go on for a bigger kill so I can eat more. That's how we grew up and evolved. However, when you're looking at in science and in selling, if you can choreograph the wins and you give somebody a surge of dopamine and testosterone, they're going to have that sense of achievement, enjoyment of being around you, more focus and motivation and confidence in you to work with you. So that's why I'm starting with the win. This is the type of win that we're talking about. Now let's go backwards up the ladder, an outcome win. Most people, and you've seen this, most people sell what they do. Hey, I do this, I do this, I do this. They don't necessarily sell the outcome of what the person gets out of it. So we're talking about the outcome wins and how do we leverage them? And more importantly, frequent. In the book, I've finished one of the chapters on what is motivation, what is emotion, and negative emotions are stronger and last longer than positive emotions. So if we're going to do this right in a conversation, and when you leave people to their own devices, they'll go back to their own negative emotions and they'll be thinking, but what if? But what if? Have you ever had a conversation where you really haven't engaged with them too much, and the first question they come back to you is, yeah, but what if? But what happens here? But what if? It's because you've left them alone to slip back into their own almost neutral, into the negative emotions. It's your job to, how do we keep that, not just the happy, happy, ha-ha, keep the frequently leveraged outcome wins. And I'm in the new training that I've got, and I'm unashamedly going to tell you about it a little bit later, and also the training that I've got that we're doing now. In the new training, we're showing people how to, in their conversations, turn the conversation you've talked about, you've heard about the features, the advantages, the benefits. Then there's the outcomes, and then the quantifiable outcome wins. And then how do you turn those into that real win? So the person says, oh my God, I can feel it. I know what's going to happen when we do this together. Not sitting back thinking, well, I understand what you do. And that's one of the things that we're going to be talking about coming up real soon. Now, I don't know whether you've heard, and I actually don't know whether you actually believe it or not, all sales are based on emotion. And a lot of people say, no, they just look at the facts and they'll make a decision on the facts. That's not right. A colleague of mine had a friend several years ago, got hit by a mine in Iraq, and he lost the ability to feel emotion. That affected all decision-making powers. Daily logical decisions that he had to make, could not make them. He could not decide whether to put his left shoe on or his right shoe on because he lost the ability to feel emotion. So if you think that you're going to lay out a whole heap of technical numbers to somebody, even if it's a CEO, they will base it on emotion. Okay, that makes sense. However, how's that going to make me feel, the head of the CEO, the business? How's it going to make me feel when the business is achieving what it's supposed to be? There will be the emotions and the feeling in there. But the interesting thing about emotions is the definition of emotion. It comes from Latin, and it is emovere, which is basically broken down energy in motion. And you're going to hear me talk a lot now about energy, the energy that you put out, the energy that the buyer has. We talk about the personal magnetic energy. What energy are you giving out right now? When you go into a networking meeting, what energy do you have in the breakout rooms or in an actual face-to-face? Now, I've been in, and I've built a six-figure American business just from networking in 10 months, turning up into online rooms, talking to people. And I've been there and I've seen so many people, you've probably seen this too. They will sit there with a sheet in front of them, reading it. Hi, my name is Mary, and I am really passionate about helping professional women have their best life ever. No one should ever say they're passionate about anything. We should see it and feel it. We feel your energy. And I don't know how many people have said, Steve, I was in the room with you. I loved what you said, but I just loved your energy. It's not that I fake it. It's not that I really work on it. I am, and I've never said it, I am really passionate about, and they feel that. And that is what emotion is. Your energy drives the emotion. So it's energy, emotion, and role. Now we talk in the new work that we're doing, funnel flow magic. I'm working with a big company in America. They do all the tech stuff. And I said, here is what you need to do. They have all the content. AI is the biggest killer of emotion. It's the biggest opportunity, because I had somebody the other day give me all his stuff that he wrote for his content, and it's taken from everybody else. Therefore, it cannot look different. AI cannot take, I put in the things that I want it to write for me. It can't do it because I use my own Steveisms to stand out. So I've got to do it all myself, which is great, using all the different terminology that I created and made up. If you can create your own language, you can own it. Those that have been on previous ones with me, you've probably heard me talk about the brown box syndrome, the emotive sales pendulum, the D&Q sales form. They're all different things that nobody else has written about. If you can tweak and turn them around and create your own energy around your words, you are going to have people come to you and say, wow, that is absolutely fantastic. Now, here's a quick story. I was invited to go on a podcast. Some of you that in marketing would know a few of these people. There was Dan Kennedy, Seth Godin, Robert Cialdini, Rich Sheffrin. And I looked at these people and thought, oh my God, am I going to be invited to do this? I had to go through an interview before I got interviewed. And the guy said, hey, Steve, tell me what you do. Stupid me went into cookie cutter. Oh, I help people do this, 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 and this. You're a sales trainer. And I was like, oh shit, this is going to be a quick interview. And then it was like, well, you know, I really do help people break out of the brown box syndrome to do this, this, and this. And we talk about the buying energy and we get them through here. And then every little nugget of something that I said differently, creating that language, was creating a different set of energy. That's interesting. That's interesting. Wow. The emotion was, that is different. And then it went from, we don't have a vacancy for 3 months to, do you have any time to fit us in the next 2 weeks? And that just switched it all around. Who are you? What do you say about who you are and what you do? And how can you be unique? And being unique creates that unique energy and your own personal magnetic energy. Here's some, I actually wrote it down there. Here's a stat with the company that I work with, and they brought this out 7 weeks ago. I didn't know this. This is scary and exciting. Listen up. Because if you want to convert 50% more, write this down on the back of your eyelids. Half the people that you're talking to don't know their real problem. They cannot clearly articulate it. They will tell you what maybe a need is, but that's about it. We've formulated a scoring system to be able to work with the people, engage and empathize, and really drag out what their real problem is. And that makes a massive difference. And when you do that, that in their mind is a win. Wow, you finally worked with me so I could understand what my real problem is. And that surges another couple of hormones, the serotonin and the oxytocin, the sense of belonging, the sense of love, the feeling there is, wow, you help me understand myself. And that's what brought about, I always used to talk about the 3 understands, but the 4 understands. Just write these down. If all you do and take out of tonight is these 4 understands, your communication, engagement, and perception will go through the roof. The first understand is that they understand their real pain and how you can uncover that. In my current training, we do it a little and we do it well. But since I knew that half the people we're talking to don't know what their real pain is. Have you ever seen somebody probably come and try and sell to you, or you've seen somebody, or you've been in a situation, maybe yourself, where somebody says something? You ask a couple of questions to find out if you're on the right track and then go into presenter mode. I'm going to just talk about what I do. Type a Y in for yes. If you've seen, heard, or been in a situation where you just felt or just heard from them, if they just understand what I do, they'll buy from me. I've just got to get them to understand what I do. Have you either done it yourself, heard somebody and seen, yeah, they just have to understand what I do? Okay. Here's a couple of things that are a little bit more of a priority on that. So the first one, if you can help them understand what their real pain is, that's a huge win. The next thing is, if they actually understand that you understand them, that's huge. If they understand that you understand them, if you can get to a point where they're basically under their breath saying, oh my God, finally somebody who gets me. Quite often that will only come when they get themselves. These 2 here, done right, will put your sales conversions through the roof, and it's through having the right conversation, not the right pitch. You get that? It's having the right conversation early that will get that through. Then the next most important down the priority list is talking about how what you do will impact them, their life, their business, their neighborhood, their family, their loved ones, or whatever. How what you do will impact. And yes, by the way, in much smaller font, because that's the importance of it, that they actually understand what you do. Now, those of you that have seen some of my previous presentations, and I wasn't going to go into that at all tonight, the blueprint conversion system, when you've got a blueprint, a visual, and a system, and you talk about it, and you say, here is my system for your results, and they could visually see that you've got a system, people will pay more for a system than they will per hour. They will pay more for a system to deliver results than they will for a program or products. So one of the easiest ways to get through this bit is, yep, you've collaborated, you've worked on, they understand what they need, you understand, and they get it that you get them. They understand when working with you what the impact will be back to them. And most importantly, the last bit is you've got a system that you can show them and say, wow, the other guy down the road just said, hey, I'm good, buy me. Or I've got a list of things that I could do. Aren't I good? Whereas when you can collaborate with them and say, well, okay, here is my system to deliver it, and they think, wow, this is different, then this is going to make a massive difference. The people that get the most value of having their blueprint are the people that are selling the intangible, their knowledge, their skills, their expertise, or their services. When they get to see them and say, wow, this is visual. We absorb images 600 times faster than words. We listen to the words and then we convert them back into images. So if you have a visual blueprint, not a schematic of what you do, but a collaboration tool, that's not the topic of tonight, but that's a previous one. When you've got something like that, this bit here, the what you do, becomes bigger because you've got a complete blueprint of the way that you work. So very quickly, any comments on the 4 understands and the fact that half the people that are coming to you don't really know what they want in the first place? They may say something, but a deeper discussion will actually uncover something that they really need and want a lot more. Got 1 or 2 people who want to take themselves off mic. Victoria, sounds more about selling yourself and not selling a product. Not exactly. It's about understanding what they really need and co-creating a solution. And we talk about AIV, agreed implementable value. So if we work together and we did this, what would that mean to you? How would this work for you? Yeah, okay. How do we quantify what that would be? Definitely it's got to be being in their shoes, but not only being in their shoes, but most importantly, quantifying. There's 2. There's financial and emotive. Because every emotive pain is quantifiable. They need it fixed. And then obviously the financial pain, they want it and they need it fixed as well. But just getting into their shoes is not enough. It's showing them what it's like and what it will be like if they stay in those shoes that have got a hole in it and they're walking across sharp stones.
Can I say something?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Yeah. All that makes sense to me. But in my personal situations, when I talk to people about what I do or what I sell,
Yep.
I'm at garden shows and I don't have that kind of time to waste trying to find out what it is that they really want. There just isn't that time. Sure. So I've got to start talking straight away about what my product does and then hope somewhere along the line they can say, oh, that's what I need.
What does your product do?
It makes composting really easy.
Right. Okay. So what 2 questions could you ask them for them to identify? Are you selling physical products, cash now?
Physical product. Yeah.
Is it cash now, or you come back and we'll sell it to you over the line, or what is it?
No, cash now. You got to get them on the spot. Otherwise they go away and think about it for a year.
Sure. Gee, I just wrote about a lady that came to me just 2 weeks ago selling orthotics at trade shows. Mm-hmm. And she sells them at the home trade show. She was just at Perth. Did the Sydney train show, lost money. Broke even at Melbourne. So instead of selling orthotics, we sold pain relief, got people to identify. There was a whole process. Mm. And they walked away. At this stage, it's 4 times their investment by not selling the orthotics, but by selling the outcome that they delivered.
Mm. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. But with orthotics, you can, they can try the shoe on or something, or look at the shoe and No.
It was basically not much different to you. Get them. Okay. How do we do this? Fantastic. Here they are. And there would be something to do with your composting that only the right people, I mean, people walking past that have got no interest whatsoever are not going to come and buy. You're not going to convince them. But if they're going to come and talk to you, they have some sort of an interest. You need to clearly identify what that is, what is the pain, and what is the real value to them in 2 to 3 minutes. I agree. I've worked trade shows around the world. and you've got a couple of minutes to get them in, get them out. If they're going to be wasting your time, I totally understand. You're not going to go through a blueprint to sell a damn composter. No, I agree. You're going to have the right, real emotive questions and not just, hey, this is just what we do. When you have this is what it'll do for you.
Interesting.
There's some tweaks and stuff around it. Happy to have a discussion. Hope you win tonight's door prize because we can have a real good discussion.
Okay. So did you hear that, Nick?
Okay, let's move on because I've got some really, really cool stuff for you.
Can I ask another question there, Steve?
Yeah.
It just relates to Victoria's. And I thought, well, just putting myself in her situation, I just put 3 questions into the chat as a way of approaching that to get the feeling into it, rather than what I do is sell you a bucket of goop that makes your compost work quicker. So do you have a compost pile? Does it seem like it takes ages to decompose? How would you feel if you rotted it, if it rotted down in half the time?
Actually, that's quite a different way to approach it than I do. So that's definitely worth considering.
Yeah, and what is the dead set, drop dead outcome that they would get from your thing? How would you like the best fertilizer in the world without having to pay a cent for it? How sustainable do you think would you like to be? Would you like to go to bed at night knowing you're caring more for the planet? Some more, swing the emotion.
Yeah, tricky. It's tricky. That's tricky what you're saying, and it's a time thing too. You got to get them in and get them out really quickly. You can't be spending 15, 20 minutes with them.
Doesn't take long to pinpoint that.
And
clearly I need more work done then.
Yeah, it's basically if you have 10 questions, after the first question, you'll know what the next 3 are, and that's it.
I don't ask them 10 questions. I just ask them if they compost. Are they into composting? Because that's all I need to know to talk to them. Anything beyond that, it takes too long. I just start telling them what my product does. And then at the end I say, is that something you'd find valuable for you?
Well, then you're going to find this next slide very interesting.
Okay. I'll mute.
I'd put that question ahead of you telling them what you do about your product so that they get that feeling. How would you like it if it
trust me,
half the time?
but when you're at a trade show, people come in there, they know you're going to sell them something. So they're wary. So the minute you try and put something salesy on them, they'll turn around and walk out. So you've got to it's not that simple. Well, or maybe I'm making it hard. I don't know. I haven't perhaps found
there's lots of different ways, but you're right. And I know the pressure of trade shows. Definitely know. Okay, what are your presentations like and your people? Are they spectators? Have you ever seen somebody, potentially you've done it, and I know that I'm going to put at least 2 hands up for this because I know I've done it and fallen into this trap, where you've got your slides, you've got your presentation, you know your product, you're on a roll, you just finish it, and at the end of it you think, damn, that was great. And it felt like everybody just clapped and thought, oh, that was enjoyable, and just walked out. It was almost like the spectators at a footy match or whatever match it was. They said, that was a great match, and they all filed out the front gate. And I see so many people that are taught to do a great presentation where most of the people are just spectators. And then you've got your cheerleaders. And they're engaging with the people. They're closer to the match. They're engaged. They've got some hands going up and rah, 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 rah. Yep, love it, love it, love it. But at the end of the match, they go off into their own dressing room. They pack up their pom-poms and they go home. The best thing is, are you making your prospect, you can tell that I've been hanging around America too long, the MVP, which I put in brackets for Australia, the best and fairest, or best on ground if it's AFL. Are they the MVP? Are they feeling the wins? Because what you want at the end of the game is for them to go in the dressing sheds excited as if they've won. They're celebrating. They are the person. It's what we call sales bliss. When you both enjoy the journey and are both excited about the sale. And there's lots of great ways to be able to do that. So when you're going through your conversations and you're talking with the person, I'm saying sales conversations, not presentations or pitches. It should be a two-way conversation. Here's a thing that's off track. Your sales conversation should be like a tennis match. You hit some information over the net and you've got to get them to hit something back. You hit some more over, you get some back. Because if all you do is stand there and hit all the balls over the net, you run out of balls and you can't play tennis and the game over. What sort of conversations are you having with your people? Are your people the spectators, the cheerleaders, or the MVPs? Because when you make them, and that's with your collaboration, when you make them the MVP and you are calculating and co-creating the solution, then they're going to walk out excited that they're going to be working with you. I'm just having a quick look at the time. Okay, I can get through this and squeeze some extra in. I think I did this in the last one, which is why I wasn't going to do it. This is scientifically proven, the order that you do things. Here is the magic formula: data. Give some information. Give some information about your product, service, or whatever it is. And again, the length of it is determined by the time. You should do this 2 or 3 times in a conversation. Narrative. Have a quick story. You should always have a number of hero and horror stories. Now that reminds me of somebody that actually has just finished our course. And she said, Steve, I was on the way home and this person called me up on the phone and I knew they were visual. And I pulled out my half-finished blueprint, went through the blueprint, but I also went through the DNQC as she showed me, and she virtually bought on the spot sitting in the car. And that was a $3,000 sale. I just did what I told you. Some information. I just told a story who had a quantifiable result. And that's the next thing you do. Quantify. Wow, if we did this for you, if we helped you with this on a monthly basis, yearly or whatever, what sort of an impact would that make? And then you co-create an outcome, again, financially or emotively, and then confirm. Simple. Is that something that you would like to do? In fact, we just worked with somebody last month who's unfortunately their father died, and they've got people all over the world, but we live streamed the service into 8 countries. And everybody was so appreciative because they couldn't fly here with this and this and the cost and that. Is that the sort of send-off that you'd love to give your father in front of everybody? Is that something that you would like to look at and work on right now? That's the DNQC formula in its own. And that was selling with emotion. Give them some information, give them a good quantifiable story, quantify the results to them, and confirm, is that a priority of yours right now? When you do that as a flow conversation, you can really turn the outcomes into wins themselves. I'm going to only quickly go through this, and then very shortly we'll open up for question time. So funnel flow magic is about having people rush through your funnel, whether it's a 1-step or a 100-step, it doesn't matter. It's like having the magnets that are going to be one's pushing and one's pulling. Now, when you have your own personal magnetic energy, you've got full confidence, belief, you know what you're doing, and you can really encapsulate the energy. It's like, yes, I want to work with that person. And then you've got the buyer's energy, and they're getting a taste of you. They're getting a feel of what it's like to get the results from you. And when you've got the push and the pull, it is just sheer attraction. That funnel flow, it's called magic because it's unseen, but you could add this sort of formula to all of your funnels. We added some, look, the reason that I'm doing it with one of the biggest funnel companies in America is we were at a networking meeting. We booked a call. We were chatting. He said, Steve, I'm having trouble with this. And I very simply said, would you like that fixed in 5 minutes? And he said, yes. And I said, right, you put this video here and you put this video here, it's fixed. He did, and it was. And that's why he said, what we have to do is focus on the energy of the people flowing through the funnel, not just the education and the content. So when you focus on the energy, the buyer's energy, what are they feeling as they flow through the conversation and the work with you, then that's going to be amazing. When you've got low energy and you've got low energy, you lack confidence, you lack self-belief, people are going to believe in you if you're not showing the energy that you believe in yourself. Does that make sense? Yeah, I can see some heads nodding for sure. And then if they've got low energy and all they're getting is the cookie cutter emails that ChatGPT is spitting out for you and 400,000 other people, if you're not modifying them to add your personality to them, they're going to feel like a cold prospect all the way. So you've got to get the energy from you and them up, and that makes a huge, huge difference. A quick question before I pull up the next, which is the last slide. Are you end of financial year people where you celebrate, thank God I got to the end of another financial year? EOFY people, or are you boffy people? Celebrating the beginning of what's going to be a damn awesome next financial year. Type an E in if you're an end of financial year person, think, hell, I survived. Or a boffy that's like, you beauty, another brilliant financial year coming. You celebrate all year. You're my sort of person there, Roz. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to tell you in just over 60 seconds of what I'm doing right now for end of financial, and it just happens that it fell. Some of you have been to the last Gold Coast seminar workshop that I did. Some of you have seen some of my work. I've got a program called the Blueprint Conversion System. Nick's been through a heap of it. It works on your positioning, your packaging, creating a blueprint, and how to sell from it. 6 to 8 week program, group mentoring, works exceptionally well. Brilliant people have got through great results. The new program, which I don't think many of you will qualify for, I'm doing a 2-month program, highly advanced, with most of what we talked about, how to build it, implement it tonight. You got some really cool stuff that's not released yet. And we're building it together. I'm shooting it live in front of the group. They get to ask questions. They get to implement it as we go. They get to the brand new program when it's released, which is 5K. And they also get a video interview. If any of you are interested in finding out more about it, we just have a chat. That's it. Okay. Book in there. Nick's got, it's only one N. Nick, in fact, I think I've got them here. The 2 links that I've put in, some of you have been to my work, you know it. If you want it, you can jump in for that BCS. In fact, did you know that the real way to spell Brossman from 7 generations ago was with a double N, Nick? 2 of my dad's brothers spelt it one way and one spelt it another. Anyhow, that's off track. For those of you who want to work at the level that is right for you right now, we have our first call on Friday. Book a call, contact me. I can get you started, or at least we can say, yep, let's have a good discussion. It may not be right for you. If you haven't done the Blueprint Conversion System, but you've done some of my other work, you may be accepted into the flow building program. Okay. But no matter what, if you want to have a chat, just book a call. And that's as far as we go. And I'm going to open the whole thing up because I know there's going to be some questions. And I've left a heap of good time to have a good chat. Billy, I see your hand up, mate. Or not. Got your digital hand up there, Billy?
You awake?
That could be a first.
It's always done.
I think he's looking for the unmute somewhere. While Billy's looking for the unmute, and he's probably the right age to remember, Billy, don't be a hero. Don't be a fool with your life. Those that are smiling are of the same vintage as me. Any more questions while we got Billy? I think Mary was waving at me. Hello, Mary. It's good to see you again.
Hi, long time.
Yes,
Can you hear me?
I can definitely hear you.
Okay.
I'm on good. Yep.
Just wondering what time zones will you be working on in this program?
The new one will be only half an hour later. So it's virtually the same as we were before, Mary.
So, I mean, you've been recently working on the US time zones, which is quite early in the morning for me. So what time is it your time?
It'll be 9 a.m. Sydney time.
9 a.m. Sydney time. Okay. It's just that I might be sort of like finishing work time around there.
Nothing like a really good strong coffee.
9 a.m. before we get up a bit, out of bed.
9 a.m. Sydney time, is it 2 hours, 3 hours?
2 hours. So that'll be 7 a.m. your time.
7 a.m. is well, I finish work at 8. So it's sort of like a bit difficult. Timing wise, I mean.
Yeah. The new one will be 9:30 because I've got to fit some other people in as well. So it'll be 7:30. So the first half to 45 minutes will be training. And then, as you know, with the way that we work, it'll be Q&A, hot seating, and working on implementation. So there'll only ever be 20 to 30 minutes of training, which you can always get the recording. But if it's the training and the implementation on the new program, then that's quite good. The thing that's in the new one as well is the first 2 weeks is video mastery, where I'm actually coaching people how to be on camera.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds like something that I need.
We all do. I look at some of the stuff when I was on camera being interviewed as a track athlete, and I thought, oh my God.
My mates tell me to get back behind the camera where I belong.
Billy, your hands down, or you want to keep it up, or anyone else just jump straight in, because we'll rip through some fast fire questions and then we'll get back to Nick to do the draw.
Yes, Steve, just a point, it's Gordon. I've done a lot of trade shows or investment workshops.
Yep.
We never ever tried to sell anything. All we ever used them for was to gather a database or gather information that we could go back to later. I can't see the point in having 3,000 people walk through the display and only being able to talk to 100 of them. I'd rather collect the whole 3,000 names. What's your perception of that?
You want to capture the right names for the right reason. If you want, and the same as my people on the Perth trade show, and I've actually been coaching 3 people on trade shows in 2 different countries. And we had a SaaS provider in America, and we had the people that were there to talk and the people that were there to pass by, but we didn't want to let them pass by without capturing anything. The thing that we did, Gordon, was there was an incentive for them to download something and just scan a QR code. We got it. It was very attractive for them to scan it. From that, they went into the funnel flow magic, where they got a video from somebody talking to them, talking about this, and then the next one, then the next one. And then by the time the person got to them, they were like, I'm in, I'm excited. I understand what it's doing for me. So I understand what you're saying. It's about volume, but it's about volume that you don't have to waste a lot of time with cold people that you just got details from. It's how do we increase their energy before they get to you, so that when you're talking to them, not only are they educated, but excited about what it is they're going to talk to you about, or they just run away and think you're an idiot. Either way, you don't want to spend an hour with somebody who just filled in something for the heck of it. So there's ways to do quick, solid engagement there, but there's also ways to get them in that funnel flow magic, so that the time you spend on the trade show collecting the right people is magnified when you go back to them.
Yeah, we didn't have the advantage of funnels and all that sort of stuff. If you look at the amount of grey hair that's up here, but we had a 5-step follow-up process that before I even spoke to the client, they'd had to opt in to have a look at what we did. Then they'd have to answer a questionnaire and become somebody that we were interested in talking to. We used to call it what's the word for it? I've missed it. They'd disqualify themselves in the process.
Yeah, so that's the typical old school way, because what happens there is they opt in. You're doing the lowest level of influence, which is imposed influence. Here is all the stuff about me. And then you're qualifying them, which basically makes them feel I'm the right person for you to sell to. And then they fall away. Whereas the better way is, as they opt in, you actually start increasing their buying energy. You cultivate them, not qualify. So by the time they get to the top, yes, some of them fall away because they're not supposed to, but many of them will have an understanding of, you're the right people that I want to work with, not I understand your product, I'm going to let you sell to me. And there's a massive difference in the outcomes in that sort of increase in the buying energy versus questionnaire, dump content, qualify, pitch.
Yeah, we must have done something effective, because we would lose about 50% of the database in the first few weeks, and then our actual sales rate would be about 85% of those that were left. So
perfect.
So even though I probably didn't know what we were doing, right, we must have done something right. So,
you don't complain about those numbers. But in today's world, when there is so much noise around, because people these days, it's not just I'm waiting to get some from something. They're out there actively comparing you to somebody else.
Yeah.
Before COVID, they would go to 5 to 7 sites to make a decision. Now it's 10 to 12 to compare you to. That's just the facts. That's how noisy it is out there these days. And, you know, with chat, GPT, etc., it's even noisier because it's taken a lot of the barriers for people to stuff out there. I'm going to take one more because I'm conscious of next time. If we've got Angelique, I know you've put yours up, and I'm going to break Nick's rules. I'm going to take Angelique and Laurent, and I'll take really short answers if I can.
Well, I'll try to be quick. Thank you for listening. So I actually practice rapid transformational therapy, which helps people discover what is deeply, deeply buried in them, in the subconscious, lot forgotten about it, put in there when they were little, when they had some kind of trauma, and it keeps holding them back as they haven't released that. So you're saying 45% or 47.5% don't really know what their real problem is. And that's exactly, that's exactly it. So what would you say? What could I do?
There's obviously what you've gone through with your training. And I've got a client right now that is a specialist in America with brain repatterning. And I've got another one going through our program right now that's got like 8 or 9 different modalities doing very similar to what you do. And she's exactly the same. It's like, well, how do we have that initial conversation to understand, to get them to understand closer to what it is, so you can then go back to them with the value of working with you to what is the highlight in their brain right now. And as you get working with them, it may change. And the statistics are, when people are going through a sales process, and this is big level companies, their highest priority changes 3 times. So just as yours is, mine's not a finite science, but when you use science, you get a lot closer to it. It would be, what is your initial way of doing things, and then be able to get them to get started. One thing, I'll get off my teaching. You are only ever selling one thing. Write this down. It's 3 words. The next step.
Mm-hmm.
You are only selling 3 things. The next step.
Thank you for tuning in and listening to the Business Owners Smashing It Online podcast. You can also find me on social media and online. Just search for Business Owners Smashing It Online and Nick Cree, spelled Nickcree, all one word. If you like this and want to hear more, subscribe now. Until next time, don't be a slave to your business. Get your business working for you.